Okay, so I'm going to go through how to keep score for a volleyball match. This is a picture, a sample of the volleyball scorebook that we will be using. Obviously, we would have for our home games, this would say Irish, and this would say, let's say, for example, Fairfield Christian. We'd fill in the names of the players and their numbers, and the names of the opposing players and their numbers. Before the match starts, you would fill in the player's number in the position that they're in, and the coach will give you a lineup sheet, and you'll follow straight down that lineup sheet. Position 1, you would put that number. Position 2, you would put whatever number they have, and you would put them in order. So there are 6 people on the court. Okay, you would do that also for the opposing team. Now I want to show you, since we're talking about the players who are on the court, I want you to notice down here in position 5, at a certain point, there was a substitution made. Number 3 went in for number 15 in that position. So once that happens, you mark that number 3 came in for number 15, and you simply draw a line through one of the subs. That's where we keep track of how many subs you're permitted for each set. And then at another point, number 15 came back in for number 3, so that was a second sub. And you can see for the opposing team, there was a sub for number 15, number 2 came in, and number 15 came back in. Now, I want to point out that once a player has subbed into a certain position, for example, number 2 subbed for number 15, and they were in position 2. That means that number 2, even though 15 came back in for her and 2 is now off the court, 2 could not come in for number 4 or for number 21. Number 2 could not come in any other position. The only player they could sub for would be number 15. Okay, so that's important to remember. Same with the home position, the home team. Number 3 could only sub for 15 because they already subbed in for 15's position. So number 3 could not come in for number 2, 16, 6, 10, or 23. Okay, so that's where the lineup goes and how the subs are done. Now, scoring, it may seem daunting, but it's really not. There is a point awarded every time there is a serve. Okay, so for example, this team won the toss, so they served first, and number 2 served and won a point. So the first point is awarded to number 2 in the first serving position, and 1 is drawn through where you keep track of the rally scoring. They served another one and they scored on it, so the number 2 goes there and you draw a line through it. Now, something that they don't have on here, when their service turn was over, maybe they missed the serve, or maybe they made the serve but the other team scored the point. I like to use a dash and a line. It's hard to see on this one, but I could show you personally how to separate so that you can see that that service turn has ended. And what happens is when that service term ends, then this person, the first server on the opposing team, they get awarded the first point for their team. But if you'll notice, it's circled next to their serving turn, and it's circled in the rallying scoring column because they did not earn it on their serve. Okay, it was awarded on a side out. But you'll see that this person, player number 1, who's the first server, they served the next one and scored the second point. So it's written down and then a line's drawn through, and the third point, and it's written down and a line is drawn through. You'll see here the next points that they earned were point 15, 16, 17. So a line up and down, a dash and then a line would be drawn. I kind of like to use a whole box, a little dash and then the line. And then that way, once you get down and have to come back up to that server, once they've rotated all the way around and come back up to that server, you see that line there, you know that they're the next server. So if you'll notice, then after that third point, our second server for the home team was awarded a third point because here's the first, second, here's the third. So that third point is circled because they didn't actually serve it. The other team did, but it's still awarded to that server. So you'll see that's why those are circled. That server missed the serve or the other team scored on their serve. So that was the end of their service turn, and you'll see here that point there's an S there for a substitution, and that's not a big, I'm not even going to make a big deal out of that. You can put an S there for a sub, but the fourth point for the opposing team is marked with a circle. So basically what you need to remember for keeping score is a line is drawn through in the rallying scoring if the server served that point. Otherwise it's circled. In other words, this point was circled because the home team missed the serve or didn't score on it. They earned that off of the other team's score. So circling it when the point is awarded and your team, that person did not serve it, draw a line through it when that person did serve that point. That's pretty much it. I mean, circling, writing the number in when they serve the point, circling the point when they start their service turn. So every time a server, after the first server of the match, you'll notice every time a server goes to serve, their first point for them is circled because that's how it becomes their service turn. Okay, so other than that, you can keep track of timeouts. Usually these are the spaces for the timeouts, and you write in what the score is during that timeout and whether they won or lost. Okay, if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to go over it with you, and hopefully this wasn't too confusing.